Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The New World. Thank you for joining us today. And in today's video, we decided to take a dive into the sport of basketball and hit the focal points and possible reasons as to why the NBA is lacking behind these leagues like the NFL and MLB, with the WNBA chasing after them as well. But before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we are on the road to 10K subs, turn on those notifications, and stay tuned for our next videos. And comment what you think is wrong with the NBA or any more videos you guys would like to see us do next. With the constant rise in sports like football, baseball, and even the WNBA in due time, what do you think are the problems within the NBA that has fans saying that this is the worst American sport?
Yeah, man, so as my boy Jay said, we are going to break down this problem because it's not just one issue. This situation is multifaceted. So the three of us are going to give you a comprehensive reason as why the NBA is the worst professional product in sports. And I'm going to start off with the financial aspect of it. So basketball is a dead product. And not just talking about the NBA, we know we have a resurgence with the WNBA, but even with that, we have to think about the fact that the WNBA is owned by the NBA. So when we talk about promotion, when we talk about all of these things, they're going to be impacted as well. But in the summer of 2024, the NBA signed an 11-year, $76 billion deal with Disney, NBC, and Amazon. Now, I want you guys to remember that throughout the course of this video because that is really helping carry this league. So essentially, based off of this media deal, the NBA is pocketing $7 billion in revenue per year over the next 11 years. Now, when we talk about ratings, as Jay has alluded to, NBA ratings have dropped 48% over the last 12 seasons. NBA ratings are down 28% on ESPN from last year. And in my opinion, what I believe, guaranteed contracts are the primary issue for this. Now, let's just take a brief look, a synopsis at some of the salaries from different leagues. So we take a look at the NFL. Highest salary in the NFL right now in 2024 is $60 million. The average salary in the NFL is $2.7 million. And the minimum, the lowest salary in the NFL right now is $795,000. Let's transfer over to the NBA. In the NBA, the highest salary is $55.7 million. The average salary in the NBA is $12 million. Minimum salary is $1.1 million. We go to the MLB, we already know Shohei Ohtani. He has the highest deal with $70 million. The average is $4.9 million, but the minimum salary in the MLB is $60,000. 60. I know some of you that are watching this video are probably making more than that. So when we think about that, we have a disparity between these different leagues, right? But let's just focus on the NFL and the NBA because the NFL right now is number one and the NBA is declining. It might be at the bottom by the end of the decade. Of course, you know that both the NFL and NBA have salary caps as agreed upon by their respective CBAs or their collective bargaining agreements. So we know that these CBAs, they get together and they set terms and conditions for the players in both leagues, as well as the rights and obligations to their teams and the player unions. These salary caps are determined each year as percentages of projected operating revenues that are defined as the maximum allowable team salary for each team for a salary cap year, which means that each team is going to have the same salary cap. The goal is to promote competitive balance between the NBA teams, which is why when you see a situation like the MLB, there's no salary cap, which means what? The team that has the most money, they can give players as much money as they want. That hasn't had that negative of an impact as of now. But that's why when we look back in the 20th century and we saw the Yankees rambling on like 20 championships because they had all the money. Ideally, a salary cap works to distribute talent equally throughout the league so that teams generating more revenue cannot sign more talented players away from lower revenue generating teams. That's why when we talk about competitiveness, we talk about those smaller markets being able to feel like they have a chance. So when we look at the NFL, we see Kansas City being able to ramble on a dynasty. Whereas if we look in the NBA and we look at a situation like a Utah, they would never win a championship. The NBA has what is known as a soft salary cap, which sets the minimum maximum payroll an owner can pay their team after the team's player salaries are aggregated. The salary cap is soft because teams are provided with various exceptions to exceed the maximum amount. In the NBA, the salary cap each year is calculated by multiplying the basketball-related income, or BRI, less projected player benefits like health and welfare benefits, and dividing that by all 30 teams. And so this is classified as the revenue generated by the NBA and subsidiaries, and this is going to include your ticket purchases, concessions, merchandising, all of that. Remember, The NBA signed that 11-year, $76 billion TV deal, so that's factoring into that money as well. The NFL, however, is on a hard salary cap, which stipulates that no team can exceed that cap under any exceptions. They cannot exceed it. If a team does exceed that cap, it is subject to penalties, including the fines of up to $6.5 million per violation, voided contracts, and potentially loss of draft picks, which we know is very important. So by not providing exceptions, the hard cap discourages teams from giving players more lucrative deals, as those contracts would take up space needed to sign other players. The NFL hard cap also derives from the revenue that the league generates. So since there are 32 teams, each team with a 53-man roster, that's about 1,700 players sharing league revenue with ownership. So the salary cap is calculated by taking that league revenue, and the players, their market of that is 48%. So you have a few different deductions that you go into. And we look at the 2023 season, the NFL, they brought in $20.2 billion in revenue. And the players, since they have to share that, the players only can work with a little under $10 billion. And based off of that, each team salary cap for last year was $224 million. So that goes up every single year. So we just look at a comparison, the NBA, which consists of 30 teams and 12 to 15 players, so about 450 players. With the NBA CBA, those players receive 51% of league revenue, which is from 2023 is about $6.63 billion. So each team's salary cap last year was about $136 million. You look at just strictly off salary caps for a 53-man roster, and last year they only have $224 million to spend. Whereas the NBA, you only got 12 to 15 players, but you got $136 million to spend. That's a big difference. Thus, NBA contracts are way more valuable than NFL contracts because the annual salaries tend to be higher. But NBA contracts are also more valuable because they're fully guaranteed, which gives extra security to the players, which is where we come into play with this modern NBA. These guys have so much security that if they want to load manage, they can load manage all they want. They can play 40 to 50 games. Why? Because all their money is guaranteed. Teams are not going to release these guys because the value of one player is insurmountable. You can't replace that guy. Because if a guy's making 30 or 40 or maybe $50 million, you still have to pay him. NFL contracts, on the other hand, are based on non-guaranteed money. These guys got to bust their asses every single day to get that game check. Only the sign-in bonus is guaranteed when an NFL player puts pen to paper. Otherwise, compensation is determined by base salaries, roster bonuses, and different types of guarantees. There are 3 types of guarantees. I won't get into too much detail, but you basically have a skill guarantee. That player may be guaranteed any money left on the contract. If a player is cut by a team due to a lack of skill, if he has a skill guarantee, he'll still get that bread. There's a cap guarantee, which means that if a player is released because the team has to be under that hard cap, they'll still get their bread. And then, of course, we have injury guarantees, which means that if that player gets hurt, you still got to pay them if they try to release them. A la what we saw with Russell Wilson last year, Jay. Remember how they didn't want to play him because he had that injury guarantee. Situation like that, players can have a little bit of security. But NFL contracts, they include 1, 2, all, or none of those guarantees. It's just based on what you can negotiate. So when a contract only includes 1 or 2 of these protections, the player does not typically make all the money advertised when he signs that contract. However, if they have one of those, or if the contract is fully guaranteed, then they get paid all that money. With this, salaries in the NFL are inflated. They're inflated. So typically the first 3 years of a player contract looks larger than it actually is. So like, let's say, for example, like in 2012, Drew Brees, he signed a contract for $100 million over 5 years. However, only $60 million of that contract was guaranteed. So if the Saints had chose to cut Drew Brees after that 3rd year, he would have lost $40 million. He wouldn't get that money back. Since contract security is limited to that 1st year of the contract that a player signs, guaranteed money is typically paid up front with that signing bonus. Now that I've broken that down for you guys, I think that what the NBA should do, and it will probably never happen, is if y'all don't like this product that y'all are getting, continue to stop watching so those revenue numbers can continue to go down, because as of now they're going to get carried by that media deal, right? Because that's 11 years, $78 billion. They're going to get carried by that. All they got to do is make a few extra billion. They can do that easily. So if you don't like the product, stop going to the games, stop buying a league pass, and those numbers will continue to go down. So ownership can come into the fold and say, hey, revenue numbers are going down, guys. we can't afford to continue to give you guys guaranteed money, which means what? If contracts are no longer guaranteed, then these guys got to take their ass and show up to work like the rest of us do. That's all I really have to say for that, man. It's a widespread practice in the NBA to give players fully guaranteed contracts as opposed to the NFL, where fully guaranteed contracts are really just not the norm. And as a result, like I said, when you have more protections, you have more leverage, which means what? You have more entitlement. And these guys right now are entitled. That's the reason why the NBA is in the position that it's in, because these players, they pretty much run it. I mean, look at the amount of money that they, in terms of the revenue, they get 51% of the revenue. The owners are getting 49. So the owners are losing out right now. The owners have to retake over leverage, just how in the NBA does, which means that we need more harsher negotiations. And that's only going to happen if the fans stop watching this bullshit product.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to discuss the watchability aspect of the NBA. As we've kind of seen with the product lately, it's been a lot of threes. And I have said this on the record, I don't really have a problem with threes. But here's where it goes from, it was nice to see Steph Curry do this 10 years ago to where it's kind of unfucking watchable. You have a team like the Boston Celtics who have kind of basically broken basketball to a certain degree, where they attempt so many threes that many other teams think they can do that. We had a game a couple days ago where two teams, they missed 75 3-point shots. On what planet, what world does any fan base want to see that? I don't think any does, because like these teams, they favor the analytics side of the NBA so much, and I understand that Daryl Morey kind of ruined this with his strategy to beat the Warriors in the 2010s, but it's gotten bad to a certain degree where teams, they don't attempt mid-range shots anymore. If you see a team that pump fakes the guy on the 3-point line and they take a dribble, they're usually trying to kick it out to another shooter to attempt a three. They're not even looking at the rim to take the open mid-range shot or floater. So it's kind of disgraced the basketball game. You've kind of lost, those players. And, we still have a certain amount of players that still thrive in the mid-range. You see like Devin Booker, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, DeMar DeRozan, all these guys. But they're so few and far between that they don't even equate to like the average game that you see. And it's really bad, man. I honestly can't get past it. Like it's gotten so bad. You watch a Spurs game and you see Victor Wembanyama have the ball at the top of the key and he's literally taking threes. He mind you, 7'4", 7'5", tallest player on the court by at least 5 inches, and he's taking 3-point shots like he's a guard. It's really bad. And I understand he doesn't have the weight to kind of get on the block and manage himself, but man, can you at least like take a shot at the mid-range, or at least try to go to the basket? Like he's so paused but long as an offensive player that you can literally try to dunk over small people. That point kind of bothers people. Like people, they don't want to see average teams shoot literally over 43s a game. So people don't want to watch that, and it's been a monumental increase from the last 10 years. Like from the 90s, they shoot like 13 threes, and 2000s it went up it didn't go up that much, and then 2010s it went up, of course, and then it's just gone up like exponentially. So that's an issue. The refereeing has been a huge problem, and these guys, they can't even celebrate anymore. And a lot of these guys, they do like the mean mug every time they dunk on somebody or, a highlight play. And referees, they just eject players, tee them up. And it's over the little stuff. I like Jason Tatum as a player. Whenever he like dribbles the basketball hard or he claps his hand, he's always getting a technical foul. It's really hard to watch as a fan, because if that player has already got a technical and the ref tees him up already, that's 2, he's out the game. And we are attending these games because of the star players. So when you're ejecting the star players, it makes the game unwatchable. Then we got to see role players basically, on the basketball court. And we don't really come for that. Like the main draw of the NBA is not the role players. We come for the stars, and for referees just to be ejecting players, and the amount of focus that they have on offense. All these guys that I'm seeing, like with the elbows and the shoulders, the offense has been favored so much that you really can't play defense anymore like that. And that's where we get the people that kind of complain that there's no defense in the NBA anymore, which there is defense in the NBA anymore. They're just not allowed to be physical at all. Like, you have different scheming, you have guys coming up with picks and stuff like that, but these guys, they can't handshake anymore, obviously, but there's no physicality allowed with the defense. And I know it tends to increase in the postseason, but for 82 games like schedule, these guys are not really, playing much defense, and they can't really with the rules that are in play. So that's another flaw. And honestly, all the rule changes, especially with the flopping, they had a flopping call, that they proposed a couple seasons ago, and they literally have not used it. Like, they have not used it at all. It's kind of been one of the most pointless things I've ever seen. Another standpoint is, the traveling. Like, they kind of changed the gather move. Like, basically anything Giannis Antetokounmpo does, it's basically legal. Because no offense, I see the brother walk like 3 or 4 steps, like him and James Harden, and they just do not call shit at all. And it's kind of really puzzling to the average casual viewer, because it's like, what is a travel, what is not? Because in the postseason, basically when you get the ball and you like move your foot before you dribble, they instantly call the travel. So it's like, what are we calling the travel, what are we not? So the rule changes are very, very inconsistent, and I wish it would stay more consistent, because there was a time in play where what was deemed a travel was a travel. Everybody pretty much agreed on it, and now you're basically looking at it like, hey, this person gathered the ball a step before his first legal step, so they call this a 0 step, and it's so complicated. It's like, can we get back to the basics? And last, before I kick this off to Jay, the star players have not been playing to what we expect them to play. And I understand, these guys are kind of on minutes restriction. Joel Embiid, he's not playing back-to-backs. But can we get some more effort? I understand y'all are playing 82 games. It's kind of hard to play 82 games, but in no stratosphere should these players be coming to the season overweight. After a break, like Luka Doncic, every season comes in the season overweight, and you see him chugging down the court, and he looks he looks so fat. It's like, how is this dude able to score 30 points per game? Like, how is he able to do this? And it's really unappealing to the average fan. And honestly, it's just a bad product. So nobody wants to watch this shit if you have it on, and it's barely on TV at all. So that's the other point. Like it's barely on TV at all. So how many fans are going to actually tune in to be like, hey, I want to watch a game? Like, really? Like, no, not really, because it's like, it's really just not a good product. These coaches, they're not even allowed to coach anymore. The players have so much power. It's really blasphemous. And this is the sentiment to what Adam Silver wanted as a league. Player freedom. This is what this area has been defined as. The players have so much freedom, but dog, literally, like, these guys don't want to get coached. Like the Lakers, they basically run in a different coach every 2 years. Like the Lakers have been running in a different coach every 2 years. Frank Vogel, Darvin Ham, JJ Redick's probably not gonna be there long. Like Luke Walton, like, come on, man, like, what are we doing? So it's really a bad product all the way through. But the gameplay is just unappealing for people watching. Nobody wants to watch this shit. Like, in the 90s when the viewership was really, really high, you saw a lot of complex plays. Back to the basket, ball movement. It was more of an emphasis on ball movement. But now these teams, they come down the court and they basically run plays to, shoot threes. Like, I saw the Golden State game when they played against the Mavericks. Golden State had 28 threes and they still lost. And the Mavericks had 21 threes and they won. Like, it gets to a certain point where it's like, what do we deem watchable and what do we deem as unwatchable? And it's kind of gotten to a point where it's just unwatchable at this point.
Yeah, man. So I will be targeting the marketing and promotional side of the NBA and what's going on with it. Starting off with some of the sponsors of the NBA. We got things like Coca-Cola, Gatorade, Chick-fil-A, State Farm. How many players have we seen with these commercials in recent years? The last time I remember seeing an NBA person in a State Farm commercial, that was with Chris Paul, when he was doing with the whole Cliff Paul thing. And then, he used to have Blake Griffin and stuff like that. But now we see that's taken over by, Mahomes and the Chiefs. It was really taken over with Aaron Rodgers before that. So the NBA's had that on lock. The Gatorade commercials. I mean, we used to have some of these big time guys. We used to have Paul George, those Gatorade commercials. But now, the last time I remember seeing that Gatorade commercial, it was Jason Tatum in there. But when they showed it, it was different athletes in there. But the only person I mainly saw was Lamar Jackson. I saw an NFL person in that commercial for Gatorade more than I saw an NBA person. So if that doesn't show you that they don't really care to promote, I mean, that's something. And for Coca-Cola, the last time I seen a Sprite commercial, that's Ant, and I barely see it. With certain commercials like this, I barely see him. Taco Bell, who do I see more? I see Devontae Adams. And Devontae Adams is going more out towards his prime, and he still has more commercials. We don't even have commercials for these guys who are with these shoe companies like Nike, Jordan, New Balance. Those New Balance commercials, even though it's Kawhi and Tyrese Maxey in there, I mainly see Shohei Ohtani take over that. And Jordan, you got Jason Tatum in there, you got Luka. I mean, those are two guys that you could promote as your faces of the league. But we don't see them with commercials. I know Luka isn't someone who cares to, be in all that, but still, I mean, we have something. Nike, I mean, that's where mostly, every big time basketball player chooses to go. We got, jobs, and we do have the older guys there, but we still have younger guys there too. Like I said, there's nobody that the NBA is just not promoting anymore. Now, I know Ja did have his controversial stuff, but he's moving up towards that, and we're still not seeing anything. I think we should bring back these type of commercials. We should bring back those team commercials, because there used to be team commercials with that Spurs team, that Clippers team. We used to see those type of commercials, and they were promoting not just those big time brands, but like local brands that would sponsor them. Now, even though I know the Hornets isn't the best of the best, you can still make some funny commercials with them. Like Mr. Beast is lit. They literally have Mr. Beast on their jersey, and Mr. Beast, you can ask somebody that, and a good amount of times they're gonna know who Mr. Beast is. So if you have some commercial with Mr. Beast and his team, okay, maybe I might want to look at them. I mean, that's something. Like I said, with the Gatorade Sprite commercials, where are they? We don't see them. I'm pretty sure almost a lot of basketball athletes have a Gatorade sponsor, and we don't know about it. I think what could also help, since their demographic, it should be the younger audience. Bring some of these famous media personalities, like the Costanets, the Drewskis. Bring some of these guys in. Maybe they can help you. I mean, because you're not doing anything on your own, so they can help you in some type of way. And one thing I definitely want to point out is the jerseys. I mean, the jerseys have been downhill for a minute, because for one, we only get the jersey for like 1 year. Like, they always throw out new jerseys. Most of the time, you probably might see like 4 to 5 good jerseys throughout all those 32 NBA teams, and then we only get the jersey for 1 year. So as a fan, I gotta sit here and see this jersey, but then I buy it for 1 year just for you to give me another one the next. Like with jerseys back then, in like the 2010s and stuff, we had these jerseys for a consecutive amount of years. Like, can you give us some longevity with it? And whoever's a part of that creative team, I mean, you need to fire them, because I mean, it's pretty bad. I can go on TikTok, or Instagram, and see, some creator who's very creative. They can go out there and make a better jersey than what I've been seeing. Cause like the Celtics jerseys, what are we doing? The Heat jerseys, that Heat culture stuff, please get rid of it. I'm tired of seeing it, bro. And if you don't have any good ideas, you could literally just go back to what you were doing before. Like, you could use the old Detroit Pistons jerseys, the old Raptors jerseys. You can use them, because I mean, fans still love them. And you look at the 4 P's, your product, that's the NBA. Look at the pricing. We have the League Pass. It's $16.99 per month, $109.99 per year. League Pass Premium is $24.99 per month, $159.99 to be available to have multiple users on the same account. That's all premium is. And this cost also varies by region. You look at NBA Team Pass, $13.99 per month, $89.99 per year. NBA TV, $6.99 per month, $59.99 per year. And the average price for a ticket is $85 to $95, but this varies between the row, the seating, the section, and other factors like matchups and stuff like that. Now compare this to the NFL Sunday ticket, $264 for the entire season, and then all you can do is add on an additional $20 for the red zone, and you're set. You see what the NFL is doing. You don't have to sit there and go on Stream East for all this stuff, because it's easy to find. Most of their games are either on national television, or if you don't find it, it's either on Amazon or Peacock. So that's 3 things that people always use, and they know how to get to it, and then they're able to use it instead of sitting here and, oh, I can't use it because I'm not in the right city or something. Like, seriously, in LA, you can't even use League Pass, because like for Clippers games, you got to buy Clipper Vision just to watch the games instead of using League Pass that you just bought. So you got to sit here and constantly buy something else and buy something else and buy something else just to watch certain games. That's very confusing, and it's not helping your case as far as your viewerships. And you wonder why people are always using Stream East and stuff like this. Because I don't want to sit here and pay for all this. I don't want to sit here and pay for all these different ways of watching a basketball game if I know I'm not going to watch it all the time.
I wanted to challenge you on one thing. I think you're spot on with the pricing, for sure. And I think for the promotion aspect, I'm pretty much in alignment with you. But you started making some comments about like social media and that type of thing. And that's where I wanted to wrap up. I think in our previous Adam Silver video, I questioned if the man had a business degree. Now, these are some comments that he made yesterday, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. Adam Silver said this the other day. If you look at other data points in terms of our business, for example, we've just come off the last 2 years of the highest attendance in the history of this league. We're at a point where our social media audience is at the highest of any league and continuing to grow exponentially. So it's not a lack of interest in the game. I looked up Adam Silver's background, and he did not attend a business degree. He obtained a law degree. If we look at his history for in terms of basketball at the NBA, he was the NBA's deputy commissioner and chief operating officer for 8 years. Prior to that, he was he spent those 8 years as president and COO of NBA Entertainment. So he doesn't really know how to run a business, and his track record doesn't show it. Like, yeah, dog, you were in entertainment, but you don't know how to run a business. You don't know how to monitor and manage these egos that we're encountering. Nobody cares about your social media presence. That's not pulling in revenue. When I think of promotion, dog, forget about Gen Z, bro. They not making you no money. They don't have no money to pay for League Pass. Cause Jay, think about this. All of the people not in our generation, right? They either in school, or they working little basic jobs, or they not doing shit. Probably just smoking blunts and getting drunk and doing all that type of stuff. They ain't got no money. They can't afford no League Pass. They can't afford all this stuff. So what they gonna do? If they do want to watch the game, they're gonna watch it on Stream East because it's free. They can't afford it. This is what makes you money. And Adam Silver in that article also talked about cable television going down. Yes, in general, cable television is going down. But when we look at the NFL, where are these games on? They on Fox. They on NBC. Like, they're on TV. And people are clearly watching because the ratings keep on going up year over year. And I think that I don't want to get too political, but they need to swing back into the center. They're way on the left. They need to swing back to the center. You got to start promoting to households, families, because adults, more so parents, they got the money to pay for that stuff if you want to have that. But they also are watching television as well. That's not going anywhere. People think that you got to continue to go younger in order to cultivate an audience that will stay with you. But we also have to think about current state as well. People are always looking deep into the future, and all that is fine and dandy. That's great. But you don't have a future unless you have a present. So Adam Silver and his team needs to lock in current state opportunities from a promotional standpoint. I like what you said about bringing in teams. Let's get back into local commercials. But hey, that means that these guys got to buy into that. But I think that localized commercials will make these, especially these smaller markets, it'll make these smaller markets want to come out and actually watch the product, because then they'll be invested and feel like they can connect to the players. People nowadays, we don't feel like we can connect to NBA players because all these guys are Hollywood. They wearing all of these crazy clothes. Everybody got all this crazy jewelry on. They're in post-game press conferences with sunglasses on. I have no connection to you because you're making so much money and you feel like you're clear cut over me. So why am I gonna pay attention and buy the product? These are things that you have to think about when you're a business. We got to think about the average person. That's who is going to sit down after a long day of work and watch these games. The average citizen, not your rich people, not your teenagers. No, it's those people that are out there busting their ass every day to get a paycheck. That's what we need to focus and lock in on. It doesn't seem like Adam Silver has a lot of business people surrounding him. He got a lot of, probably got a lot of young people surrounding him saying, oh, we're trending on Twitter, we're trending on TikTok. People don't care about TikTok. They don't.